You are getting ready to listen to the voice of Dr. Rhadi Ferguson, 2004 Olympian, four-time national judo champion, Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, author, speaker, and coach.
I spoke yesterday about friction points and what friction points are in the switch on coaching process, and the difference between a friction point and a hurdle, a friction point and a wall, and a friction point in just difficult times. And I cautioned you about dealing with people who have not embraced suffering as a part of life, and not understanding that friction points in difficult times are necessary for you to become who you are supposed to become. A lot of individuals run away from friction points because they're painful, and that brought me to the next portion of our discussion, is where we talk about friction points and friendship. Friction points and friendship. Now, I had the distinct honor and pleasure to enter to a fraternity in college where the motto of the fraternity was "Friendship is essential to the soul." And through that particular time period, and through the training ground of the process of entry into the fraternity, we learned a lot about friendship, a lot about self-sacrifice, self-abnegation, self-conceit, a lot about understanding how the whole is more important than the parts, but the integrity of the parts make up the whole. And what I found out was, when I finished that particular process, was that everybody's definition of a friend was different. And I had to learn some hard lessons about friendship as it pertained to relationships. And I had to learn some hard lessons about friendship as they pertain to friction points in difficult times. Now, let me say this. Before this particular talk, I had to really sit down and look at and analyze friendship. It's very difficult for me to give you a definition of friendship, because friendship, or the definition thereof, is based upon one's conceptual framework. I can tell you out the gate, mine is based upon the Christian theoretical framework, where it's no greater love than a man has than a man who will lay down his life for his friend, period. Now, what I found out through life, through my 46 years on the earth, is that women, the relationship for females and the relationship for males are different. More or less, the relationship or the friendship for women are based upon, will you ride for me? And on the male side is, will you die for me? The interaction amongst and between males, if things get heated, usually males back down because there's no finishing point of the disagreement other than death. So when two males come into a disagreement, like I said before, where they have the antithesis and the thesis, and they come together and they're trying to reach synthesis, they don't push too hard on their points, because the outcome of death is a possibility when dealing with males. More often than not, on the women's side, when they have a disagreement, you get cut off. So there's a death by way of lack of the ability to have exposure to that person or said species. Why is this particular thing important? It's important because friction points in relationships are looked at very differently. especially when you're talking about intergendered relationships. They're looked at very differently. When I call somebody my friend, I am of the assumption or belief that if a car was coming for me in the middle of the road, that person would sprint from wherever they are and knock me down and take the car. Excuse me. And the only reasons why they wouldn't do so is if they had obligations in terms of children or marriage. Other than that, I would expect those people to run out there and take the car. I don't know if other people have such expectations. I understand that most people don't. So I temper my particular understanding when it comes to friendship. And when I call somebody my friend in a colloquial fashion, or when somebody calls me their friend in a colloquial fashion, because I really never do that, okay, I let it ride. But I rarely will call somebody my friend if I'm not willing to die for that person at all. Now let's get to the point. Friction points oftentimes bring up a negative experience. More often than not, when we look at operant conditioning, we run or remove ourselves from negative experiences. A lot of people believe that their friend is supposed to bring them peace, that their friend is supposed to make them happy, and that their friend is supposed to be the giver of joy, the person that you want to hang out with for your birthday, the person that you want to talk to when good things happen. But the true essence of friendship is that you are open with the person to the point that you understand that me opening up myself to this person can also provide them with the ability to hurt me. And the pain that you may feel in that relationship may come because of mistakes that they make, or they may come because of truth that they provide to you. I've seen plenty of people run from their friends because they don't want to hear the truth that their friends have for them. Your friend will sit you down and say, "Hey, let me tell you something, buddy. That thing that you did over there yesterday, you were wrong about that. And you need to give those people back their money, or you need to go back there and apologize, or you need to make right what you did wrong. And I'm not going to leave you because I'm your friend, but I'm telling you that's going to have an effect on our relationship as friends, because that's not the type of friends that I have, nor the expectation that I have of my friends." Now, those are friction points. You may not like what your friend tells you. You may not like how your friend tells it to you, but your friend is going to tell it to you, and your friend will create friction points for you. And if you have a friend who is not creating friction points for you every once in a while, then you do not have the opportunity to get sharp and to sharpen yourself. Because iron sharpens iron. But iron doesn't sharpen iron because the two irons don't touch each other. Iron sharpens iron because the iron is rubbing against the other piece of iron, thus causing heat and causing friction, and thus sharpening one and the other. If you are around people that you call your friend, and they are not challenging you, pushing you, and slightly causing some type of irritation, like the irritation or sediment that causes the oyster to make the pearl, then you don't have the opportunity to increase your self-value and the value of the relationship. There has to be, as D.R.C. Raming, the president of the Bahamas Judo Federation, told me, there has to be a healthy sense of tension within the relationship. There has to be. Otherwise, you can't grow. One of my friends on here right now, Dr. Gino Coluda, he's on here, and we have healthy tension. Healthy. He knows that he just had a baby. He knows I have an expectation for him in terms of fatherhood. He knows I have an expectation for him in terms of being a student. I know that he has an expectation of me in terms of my behavior, in terms of my deportment, in terms of my ability to be a man of my word, to do what I said that I'm going to do, to give him the things that I said I was going to give him. We know this. I know that he has an expectation of me when it comes to protecting my family and doing the things that I'm supposed to do. He stays on me about those particular things. Why? Because iron sharpens iron. And every conversation that I have with him is not one that's easygoing. Every conversation that I have with him is not one that I feel comfortable all the time. Some conversations challenge me, and some conversations massage and caress me. But we can't grow without the healthy tension and the challenging of the relationship. Without the purposeful friction points. Now, why am I making this point like this? Because in the switch on coaching process, if any of you ever want to get inside of our coaching process, we put friction points in on purpose. Now, I will tell you this. Some people experience the friction points in the coaching process and they leave. Why do they leave? They leave because they're not used to that type of friction. They're not used to somebody talking to them a certain way. They're not used to somebody addressing them a certain way. They don't want to deal with somebody when their tone is off. I can't tell you how many times I've heard we coach we coach different demographics, and there's one demographic that we coach, and then that particular demographic, the only thing that they're really concerned about is tone, your tone, the tone at which you talk to me. Help me today, Holy Ghost. Your tone. If tone is a friction point for you, it's something that you should learn how to address, because the tonality of the discussion may not change, but you can't if you don't get the information. And the information that you need may only come in one tone. It may only come in one format. It may only come in one way. And it may only come from one group of persons. If you look at the pyramidal structure of success, you'll notice that as you get to the top of the pyramidal structure, the area gets less and less, which means that there are less and less people at the top. And the thinkers at the bottom, they generally think alike. And the thinkers in the middle, they generally think alike. And the thinkers at the top, they generally think alike too. So it doesn't matter how you felt or how you feel or what you thought about Donald Trump or Trumpism, and if you were a Republican or a Democrat or independent, or there were a faction of people who make that type of money, who have those type of thought processes, who act like that, who think like that, who talk like that, who reason like that, who all reason together at the top. You and I will not go to Olive Garden and see Donald Trump sitting in there. He's not going to be there. Ever. Now, the places in which he eats, those people are happy to see him there. They dine with him, they eat with him, they talk to him. They don't even mind the tone of his speech. Why? Because the people in that circle all act and think and behave a certain way. No, I'm not saying all people with money act like that. That is not what I'm saying. Somebody, I felt it in my spirit. Somebody said, well, just because you're rich don't mean you have to act like that. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who get to a certain point, because at one point in time, the guy was one of the most powerful men in the world, whether you believe it or not. There's a level of cutthroatness that you have to have in those positions, and that you have to be willing to implement. Just like when you're an NFL Hall of Famer at linebacker, there's a level of cutthroatness that you have to have, and the willingness to knock somebody out. Just like when you achieve a high level in some things, there's a level of cutthroatness that you have to be willing to implement. And it's not always good, and it's not always bad either. But what I'm telling you is, you don't have to be like that. But sometimes there's some information that you need to get. So you need to get into the room or get into the space with the people and get the information that you need, and bypassing your tonal hurdle, which may be your friction point, might be something that you need to work through in order to get the information that you need. Because your friend is not always going to say the things that you want to hear, if they're your friend. If they're your friend. Now let me say this. I had a situation with one of my good friends, one of my best friends, without a doubt, a couple of years ago, where we stopped talking for a period of time, almost about a year, all right? Based upon a lack of communication. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what happened without getting personal. I went to the Olympics in 2004. I competed for the United States. I don't talk about the Olympics often, and people who are around me know I don't talk about the Olympics often, because there's some really heart-wrenching stuff that happens with that process. It is the brutality of the emotional and physical process of making an Olympic team it supersedes what most people can fathom. And I'm not even going to get into talking, because even trying to talk about it now is messing with me. So I'm not even going to. But one moment, please. Gotta press that. Gotta press this back down. Gotta press it back down. That thing started bubbling up on you. Gotta press it back down. So, I feel a certain way about the Olympics, and because I competed for Team USA, I feel a certain kind of way when people who live in the United States cheer against the United States. Like, at the end of the day, the Olympics is nothing but a big schlong swinging contest for countries to basically have a war game to determine who the superpower is. That's why United States, Russia, China are always at the top, and Japan are always at the top, or some mix of the four. Okay? When somebody who lives in the U.S. is cheering against the team in the U.S. that's competing in the same event, man, I take that stuff personal, and I shouldn't, but I do, and I probably should not, but I do. And I had a friend of mine who had built an affinity with another country who lives in the United States based upon the missionary work that she had done. And I didn't have an understanding about the depth of the missionary work that she had done. And it was not only work that she was done, but work that she had done, but it was part of her. It was a religious and spiritual calling that she had, and it was her job at the time. So she felt this affinity that she had built with working with the people for this particular country. And she was cheering for this particular country over the United States. I do not watch the Olympic Games, okay? I don't watch the Olympic Games. I'll watch some highlights, but I don't watch the opening ceremonies. I don't do any of that stuff, man, because I just don't do it. Okay, it's not a good thing for me. All right, I'll be sitting on somebody's couch, smoking reefer and drinking Jack Daniels, and I don't drink and I don't smoke. Okay, I just don't bother with it. I don't watch it. I don't touch it. But I had a problem with this person cheering against the United States, and we literally. And when you hear it, it's a small thing. The friction point for me was so great because of what was behind it, and for her, what was behind it, that it created so much of a callous and a discord and a divide and a chasm that we didn't talk maybe for almost a year. But here's the thing. If the friendship is what the friendship is supposed to be, the friendship will overcome the friction. If the friendship is what the friendship is supposed to be, the friendship will overcome the friction. Now, let me say this, because tomorrow, we were supposed to have our message on friction points and marriage and friction points and relationships. Coach Arlo called me before I got on this live and said we were going to do something about Good Friday instead. However, I still want to see if we can squeeze in both and do something about friction points and relationships and friction points in marriage, because foundationally, understanding friendship and creating that base in terms of friendship is important for relationships and marriage. Because there's no way that the friction point is greater than the friendship if the friendship is a true one. Because based upon the Christian theoretical framework, no greater love than a man has than a man that's going to lay down his life for his friend. There's nothing that you could do that would have stopped Christ from getting on the cross and dying for you. There's no thing that you could have done that would have stopped that. Nothing can separate you from that particular love. Nothing. So when we take that particular element and we move that into the realm of relationships, as we're going to do on our next talk, then we have to understand that to love, you have to forgive much, forbear much. You have to deal with what we call long suffering. Not suffering, long suffering. And the thing about friction points in friendship is people put a time period on how long that they want to suffer. Don't put a time period on how long you want to suffer. Just understand this. If you decide to call somebody your friend, and they are a true friend of yours, then that person's friendship doesn't have a time period on it. As Khalil Gibran said, and even if we look at the excerpt he wrote on friendship, when you depart from a friend, you grieve not, for that which you love in him most is clearer, like the mountain to the climber is clear from the plain. So when you love somebody and you separate yourself from them for a period of time, the thing that you loved in them most will become clearer. And the thing that you loved in them most will overcome the friction point. Yeah, but so-and-so did something to me that's unforgivable. There's no such thing. What you should say is that I don't have the ability to forgive them because it's not unforgivable. And it can't be unforgivable if you decide to call the person your friend. Now here's the thing, going all the way back to the Christian theoretical framework now. There's no point that Christ says, you know what, man, we're not good anymore. Until you say, we're not good anymore. But he never says we're not good anymore until you say we're not good anymore. What'd you say, Brother Twiggs? Yes. A good friend will bring friction at the right time. And there is no friendship without friction. There is no friendship without friction. Friction is essential to the friendship process because it's the only way for you to get sharp. If you take a knife and you want to sharpen the knife, man, you have to put the knife on the edge of the stone. You have to create the friction to sharpen the knife. That's just how it goes. That's how it goes. Now let me make this particular point as I get ready to get out of here. The friction in relationships is in diametrical opposition of what you would want a relationship to be like. You want a relationship to be smooth. You want it to be fun. You want it to be loving. And I liken it to the relationship with exercise or training, which is very difficult. It's in the opposite of what humans really want to do in terms of their behavior. When you get up in the morning or you lift or you run or you train or you do something that hurts your body, you have no desire to do that again because of the way it feels. But you have to look past the feeling of the training and understand what the process of the training is going to yield. So here is where you look past and you move past the pain and the persecution and the aversive stimulus that the thing provides, and you look past the happy and you get involved in the joy. There's a difference between happy and joy. There's a difference between sad and joy. Joy doesn't get caught up in happy. It doesn't get caught up in sad. It doesn't get caught up in any of the feelings that occur in the affective domain have nothing to do with joy. There's the cognitive, there's the affective, and there's the psychomotor, and there's also the spiritual side. The cognitive of how you feel about the thing, the affective of cognitive of how you think about what's going on, the affective of how you feel about what's going on. The psychomotor is what you do, how do you behave based upon how you feel and what you think. And then there's the spiritual side, which is the undergirding of all of it. Now here's what's so difficult. Most people never tap into the spiritual side because of the friction. This is a different conversation now. I'm moving. Some of y'all not gonna be able to follow me because of the friction that is in place that never allows them to whittle down the things that are in the way to access the spiritual side. What are you talking about, Dr. Ferguson? I'm glad that you asked. This is why in the Switch On coaching program, one of the main things that we do is we attack your person through the mouth gate. Now, why do we do that? We don't just talk about what you say, all right? We also talk about what you eat, what goes in the mouth gate, what comes out of the mouth gate, because life and death is in the power of the tongue, but by the things that you speak, okay? And then we also talk about the things that you consume. Because before you consume a thing, you think about the thing that you consume. And then as a man thinketh, so is he. So I think that I want something sweet, then I say ice cream. I don't say orange or grapes. So what we do is we pull the food choices. We give you the choice, and then we'll pull the food completely and allow you to fast so that now we can use the spiritual pumice stone to start chiseling away at the thought processes that occur because you're concerned about consumption, and because you're no longer going to eat anything. You're not concerned about consumption. You're not thinking about the food. Friction, whittle that thing down, remove that out of the way. Then I'm not thinking about food. I don't feel any way about food. Shut down your movement because you're fasting. Now you can rely on nothing but the spiritual side. And then you can access the spiritual side so that you can understand the concept of joy and how it supersedes happy. Married 5 years, married 10 years, married 15 years, married 25 years, married 30 years, and then you leave because you say, I'm not happy. You didn't get married on happy. I looked through the Bible, went through all the pages. I ain't seen the word happy in there yet. I'm still reading. I done went through the Quran. I got a Quran. I got a Torah. I got a Bible. I haven't seen happy yet. I'm still looking. There's something that we want to write about later called the happiness conundrum. Because it's not about the happy, it's about the joy. But if you don't remove the reliance on the cognitive, I got to remove my reliance on the cognitive domain. Why? Because I cannot lean on my what? On my own what? On my own understanding. So I got to remove the cognitive side. And then on the affective side, I can't get caught up on how I feel, because my emotions will trick me, because the Bible lets me know when I'm weak is actually when I'm what? When I'm strong. Remove the affective side. And then I got to remove the psychomotor side. Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. So you got to remove all those things out with the fast so that you can access the spiritual side to get an understanding that joy has nothing to do with how you feel, what you're eating, what you're consuming, a runner's high, a biker's high, sweet potato pie. It has nothing to do with that. But until you move all those things out the way through the process of friction and rub those things down with that spiritual pumice stone so you can get to the rawness of your person, then you cannot even access your spiritual ear to hear. Shut your mouth, I say. Friction. friction. Do you know how many people are listening to this who have never done a fast? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. You wake up in the morning, you're so focused on food. You gotta fast from the television, fast from the phone, fast from the internet, fast from the Facebook, fast from the Snapchat, fast from the Instagram. Fast, you have to fast. You have to fast. If you don't fast, you'll never access the joy in the spiritual, and that's available in the spiritual domain. You can't think your way through it. You can't feel your way through it. You can't run your way through it and run your way to it. If you don't get anything else from the Christian theoretical framework, from picking up the best soul book in the world, understand that the friction was necessary for your freedom. The friction, and I'm gonna close, was necessary for your freedom. If you want to free yourself from any particular area in which you find yourself in bondage, some of y'all have a financial bondage. If you have financial bondage, how do you get out of the financial bondage situation? How do you get out of financial slavery? If you are enslaved, you're literally dying in the situation that you're in. My people perish for the lack of what? Jesus. Because you don't know what you need to know so that you can get out. Because there's a lack there on the knowledge side. But you don't want to read. You don't want to go to the library. Library card is free. You look in your wallet right now, you don't have no library. I can't afford the books. The library is free. I don't feel good. Don't nobody want to be with me. Don't nobody love me. Don't nobody. Well, have you ever gone to the grocery store before? Don't get mad at me what I'm about to say. Don't get mad at me. When you go to the grocery store, have you ever looked at the grapes or the oranges or the fruit or the vegetables? When you go in there, do you buy the ones with all the brown spots on them? Do you buy the ones that are shaped funny? Do you buy the ones that got the flies flying around the edge? Do you buy the fruit where it's broken open and the fruit? Do you buy where it's exposed? Do you buy that? No, you don't. What you do? You pick the fruit up, you grab it. The fruit got the texture of it and the feel that you like, okay? You got and then you look at the fruit, you look at the potato, you look at the onion. It got to have what you want. And then if it looks good, then you put it in your cart. But you want somebody to just pick your fruit up, however it is. It don't work like that. Listen. You got to tighten up your fruits, your spiritual fruits, your physical fruits, your academic fruits, your vocabulary fruits, your conversational fruits. You got to tighten up your fruit. Don't be telling me, well, you got to love me like I. No, I don't. Jesus does, but I don't. And if that's the hurdle that you have, if you want to overcome that hurdle, man, then you need to do some work in those areas. You got to do some work in those areas. Man, I need a better job. I need to get a better job. Okay. I understand that you want. How much are you willing to suffer for what it is that you want? Don't tell me what you want. Tell me how much you're willing to suffer. I told you I was gonna close. That mean I had 10 more minutes. Don't tell me what you want. Tell me how much you're willing to suffer for what you want. My son tells me all the time, I want to be a Division I football player. That's good, son. You and 100,000 or 400,000 other people. How much are you willing to suffer? Are you willing to die to be a Division I football player? No. I said, well, somebody out there is. There's a kid right now at Miami Northwestern who's willing to die to get a Division I scholarship. And if you're not willing to do what he's going to do, you're not going to get it. Not that one, not that scholarship that he's going to get. You might get the next scholarship, but not the dying one. That one, that's not going to you. And that kid going to University of Alabama, University of Georgia, University of Florida, University of Miami. That's just how it go. Don't tell me what you want. Tell me what you're willing to suffer for that what you want. This is Dr. Ferguson. Don't run from the friction. In the friction, you will find your freedom.